We're working today on finishing up our battery boxes. As you remember from one of our previous videos, we had to remake the central boxes. In doing so, we lost 12 cells in that area. So we've had to find room within the original configuration of the vehicle to put those 12 cells so we can get back up to our original design capacity and the design information that we had submitted to the X Prize Foundation. Also, other parts that we're working on include new shocks. I can show you here. Turn the camera kind of slow. You can see in the strut tower here we have new K-Sport Pro shocks for neon, front and rear, 36 levels of adjustability. Our previous regenerative shocks didn't work quite as well as we had hoped. They didn't do a lot of dampening, which is essential. What you see here is a new trunk lid. We learned a lot while we were at the Shakedown event, and we talked to a lot of people, made a lot of new friends, and we got some hints on how to strengthen and lighten our vehicle using fiberglass techniques. This one, what we've done is this trunk lid, when we first cut it out, we cut the seams a little bit wrong. So these front edges you see here were crumbly because we had to rebuild foam and fiberglass over them. And now, as you can see, it's solid, and we have a drip edge. What we did is similar to what we're doing on the other trunk lid right now. We smoothed the trunk lid out. We didn't have all our Bondo work done before we went to Shakedown. And now for like the trunk lid, we won't have to finish it. Bondo is harder to spread and sand than something like drywall mud. And this you see on here is drywall mud. We're finishing leveling out the trunk with it. As it dries, I'll sand it out, and then what we'll do is we'll put a coat of what's called peel ply, like shower curtain material, kind of. It's thin, flexible. We had been using saran wrap to cover pieces if we didn't want them to stick to anything, or if we wanted to lay up the fiberglass on the floor. What we do now, what we do with this other trunk lid, is we use the trunk lid itself as a mold. That's why we want to get this one smooth. You put the peel ply down. We put it down with some spray adhesive and smoothed it out over the trunk lid, leaving extra over the side. That way we can come back later and cut in for a drip edge. Then we wetted up 2 sheets of stranded mat, 1.5 ounce stranded mat with an epoxy resin, and then we applied that to the trunk lid. Put another sheet of peel ply over the top, and then rolled it out. I'd like to thank Leon for his help and advice on that. Leon is a member of one of the teams, Edison 2, at the Progressive Automotive X Prize. They were very helpful to us this other week, giving us advice, helpful hints. They have a lot more experience building cars than we do, and it shows. They've got 4 very nice vehicles at the competition. So we're applying this technique in order to make molds right off the car for areas that we need to replace or lighten. The trunk lids we had some troubles with because of the compound curves, and where we had to cut into the body of the car, we end up getting cracking along these edges. It was more significant, it showed up more on the other side than on this side. But now with putting the peel ply down and then putting our 2 layers of fiberglass, we can get a single sheet of fiberglass that goes the whole way and underneath and creates a nice drip edge. Makes a nice solid, like I said, nice solid trunk lid with drip edges. We're going to apply this technique also to the hood. You can see the hood was in pretty good shape, but it had some ripples, some high and low spots. So what you see there is I've put drywall mud yesterday over the hood. It's very humid here right now in Illinois, so it's taking a long time to dry. And then I'm sanding it out using a flat board in order to make sure that the surface is level. Once I've got this finished, I'll put peel ply over this. Another thing you could do, I haven't done it myself yet, is you're supposed to be able to spray a release coat on it or wax the surface. If you put several coats of wax on the surface, you can then apply the fiberglass right on top of the wax, put your peel ply over the top, and then smooth that out using fiberglass rollers and spreaders. I've had more luck with the roller initially, and then as it starts to dry, I use the spreader. Where I'm at here, this is the dash. I don't know if you can see it very well. What I've done is I've put my peel ply, you can see right here, over the dash, put it down with some spray glue, smoothed it out, and then cut 2 layers of the fiberglass and put the fiberglass on top. I did that last night, finished up about 3 or so in the morning. And then this morning I took the peel ply off the top. It took a couple hours of rolling and spreading to get this as smooth as it is. It still needs some work. I've got some ripples. I ended up with a bubble. Things you got to watch out for. And there's some compound curves on this. As you can see, it goes around the front. Makes it a little more difficult to take off. It wasn't quite completely hardened yet this morning. We started peeling it off and we got a couple little stress lines you can see here. So we had to lay it back down, and we heated it up with the hot air gun. It's like a real powerful hair dryer. Other things we're working on include new windshield wiper and motor. Our old ones worked sort of. I forget the name of them right now, but I wouldn't advise anyone using them. It was a cable system that hooked 2 points together using a cable that went through a rod, and we had to rebuild these points. You can see here it looks like steel sleeve. Well, we made a steel sleeve that went over the inner sleeve. That little aluminum inner sleeve you see there is all that was originally holding the wiper arm up, and that the 2 tack welds on it very quickly broke. Once we got the whole thing together and rebuilt and fixed all the weak points, then it didn't matter how tight we got the arms, the cable slipped past the gears on the other end of the wiper arm mechanism here, and our arms didn't work as well as we had hoped. What we have here is an IMTRA windshield wiper. We're putting a single wiper in. This has a little over 110 degrees of movement, and it can be set up to stop at either left or right position for rest. This is a marine windshield wiper. It's meant for, of course, then boats. We got it here fairly quickly, and we're going to, like I said, install it here in the middle of the car. It has a little over 110 degrees of range, so we will cover from the driver's side all the way over to about there, maybe a little bit further. You can see where the white mark is in the windshield. That'll give us plenty of clearance and visibility. Just a small section on the passenger side won't be 100% cleared. That will get us what we need for now until we can have our own armature designed that goes the 160 degrees approximately that we need. Back to the battery boxes. Like I said, we had to rebuild the side boxes here. They don't hold as many cells now. Now, to get back up to our original design capacity and the information we submitted to the X Prize, we are going to need to tap into the back of the main battery pack, and we're going to put the remaining cells back here in the deep foot cavity area of the rear passenger area. We only need to be 75th percentile for rear seats now instead of 95th, like was originally discussed about 2.5 years ago. So we have some extra room, and we're going to tee into the battery box and between the framework for the rear suspension. So this is a very strong, solid area. We need to be able to handle 15G loads. We have the central battery box, which is designed to handle 15G loads, the suspension support, the cross support, and the suspension support, which is behind this wall itself, that we will be using to mount our remaining batteries in that area. That way we'll still meet the 15G loads, we will still have the original design parameters for the number of cells, and we should be able to meet our mileage requirements. I've had a lot of people ask me, what's the biggest obstacle we have to go to, biggest hurdle we have to jump yet? And I still believe it is a self-imposed hurdle. We have a lot of good competition. However, as in most endeavors, the biggest hurdle you have to jump, the biggest competition you have is yourself. If you cannot convince yourself to get the project done, you won't get it done. It doesn't matter what anyone else does at that point.